Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Empty the Bench. Tom Albano here, along with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. Gentlemen, it's football playoffs time. We have the Bills and the Colts right now just ending. It's about 3 minutes left, and it's 3rd and 33 because Allen nearly fumbled the football. Actually, he did, and then they couldn't they recovered. Yeah, it's going absolutely crazy now as the game's coming closer to an end. Indianapolis coming back, and that's why I love playoff football.
It's super.
A lot like Bills playoffs.
It's super NFL wildcard weekend, as they're referring to it. So
only because there's 2 extra games. Super wild.
Super. So let's go over the topics that we have to talk about today. So we have the Mets and the Indians making a massive blockbuster trade for Francisco Lindor. We have, and if you saw the preview video we put out earlier, I spoke about the topics we were talking about. We'll talk about the games. We'll talk about the Texans and Deshaun Watson and the shitty situation that's going on over there. Eagles tanking. I know you guys are looking forward to talking about that. And what else? What do we got on the table? We also have, we have NBA COVID situations to talk about.
Yeah, we weren't going to talk about anything NBA this episode, but little breaking situations over the past few hours have caused a little shift in those plans.
Just a tad. Just a
tiny little iota.
All right, but first, guys, if we could just spend we don't have to spend long on this, just a minute or so, talking about the sports world reacting to the situation that was going down in D.C. Obviously, the Capitol was stormed by a bunch of Trump supporters, and the whole situation that just got absolutely ugly. I think it's 2 people who lost their lives in the
4.
Oh, without 4. Oh, wow. Oh,
5.
5, actually.
5. Okay.
So.
Yeah. So there isn't really much you can say other than it was an absolutely abhorrent act, and Wednesday was a rough day. It really was.
I was going to say, I was just trying to, think of how we start this episode, and like if we had to talk about this, I'm like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say that hasn't been said over the past 72, 96 hours or so?
It's been a rough time, and I know from working in the political talk radio space that this is a tough space to talk about. And as we said, we're not doing the political end. We're just reacting to the sports world. And if you're on Twitter like we were, and if you follow us at ETV Sports, you can see all the different sports reactions there were. I've been working very hard at putting up the different reactions from different athletes, and a lot of them range from small to holy you know what in reactions. So we don't want to talk about the politics end because it gets very frustrating and whatnot, but that's kind of what's on the table.
And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I don't think the 3 of us are the kind of guys who can ease over this kind of situation.
Right. And I think we just wanted to say it, and we're going to move on, and we want to get to the fun parts of the sports world at this point.
Although quite interesting that LeBron James now wants to be the owner of the dream in the WNBA.
Well, there's some legal parameters behind that, including being a player in the league and not being able to technically own a team, but we don't have time to talk about that now. We'll get to the legal ramifications another time.
And for those of you who are watching us and not keeping an eye on the game, the Indianapolis now has possession, but Buffalo just got to stop in second down to the 2-minute warning. So looking very tense here going into the last plays or so. And speaking of tense, man, a bomb was dropped on Major League Baseball. An absolute bomb of a deal.
You know what? You know what? I have to say it. I told you so. Even though I was wrong for reporting this story early, I was totally right when this happened.
Okay, this is what I was afraid was going to happen. So context is necessary. Let's get into that before we get into the I told you so's. So the New York Mets have acquired star Cleveland, soon to be no longer Indian shortstop Francisco Lindor and Carlos Cookie Carrasco for Andres Jimenez, Josh Wolf, and of course the bane of our Twitter existence. We have to talk about Mr. Former Mets shortstop over there.
Go ahead, say the name. Say the name. I want to hear it.
Ahmed Rosario.
Thank you.
Do I have to say? Oh, fine. I'm Ed Rosario. Okay, so talking about the trade itself, I mean, Steve Cohen is swinging around the big pendulum energy there, and it's he's definitely showing that he is not screwing around in any way, shape, or form. And if you think this is only going to be a 1-year deal, you're dreaming, because he's definitely got the
well, technically, Lindor does only have 1 year left remaining on his contract, and he is expected to be a free agent in after the 2021 season. So, I mean, an extension is very possible, but Cohen, he's got to show the money.
Well, he's already showing the money.
He's already showing the iron will to trade. It's a matter of, can you lock him up long term? And I mean, should you lock him up long term?
Wait a minute. This goes back to a whole situation where you look at an owner that has so much money. It goes back to a saying that the owner has FU money, basically, to the point where he
really does. And it's not affected by the pandemic, since he's new money. So
exactly. I was just going to say, well, think about this. All the owners that complain that they have lost money, Steve Cohen came into this as the pandemic is going on. He has, I've said it before on the show, fresh money. And he has said, after all the difficulties that Mets fans have went through most of this past decade, and even longer than that, all you needed
was a little do-re-mi to smooth over the situation. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500.
No, but I was actually going to say, did you see Sandy Alderson, who came out? And by the way, I think some of his comments are telling to some of the situations we've been through, that they've been talking about this trade for a while. And then we find out, you realize that they traded some of what Brody's prospects were, right?
Yeah, that is a kick in the bum to Mr. Brody Van Wagenen.
By the way, he's going to go back to being an agent, isn't he?
He's basically gonna. It's like Robert De Niro at the end of Casino. He's just going to end up calling handicaps like he was before.
Just go back to what you were.
You are what you think they were. We know. We know.
It's not an up or down. It's more of a sideways thing. He zigzagged. But, I mean, in terms of, look, we were in the long term proven right about our having reported on this, but still, I mean, the mistake. We know we fessed up to that.
I would say, first of all, we took it out of context. He could have, at the time, Rosario could have been.
He could not have known.
I was gonna say he was joking. There was a rumor, but that was all it was. It was a rumor.
But that's a pretty big joke to make over social media. If you remember, the example I'll use. Do you remember when the whole A-Rod trade with the Rangers and the Red Sox went down, and there were issues, and then the Players Association stepped in, and years later he became a Yankee?
But there was no social media at the time.
Yeah, there was no social media at the time, so you can't really track the reactions that easily. But I will say this: I do think that he had an inkling of what was going to happen. But again, in sports journalism, in journalism, it's certitude that should be reported, not speculation.
Right, and I'll ask this question.
And we did not have any certitude when we posted that.
Right, but would you say that now that this happened, could there be possible tampering issues in this type of situation?
I mean,
if there is,
I really don't think the MLB is going to enforce it. If there are,
right? I think, Nick, but I think only in your favorite league, the NBA. I think that's the only place where we see really anything when we're talking about tampering. You don't really see any penalty for it in the NFL. But then again, you don't see any discipline in the NFL anyways. You don't see any trade discipline in MLB. And I don't think there really is a sort of situation in the NHL, which really don't really see this kind of stuff in the NHL.
But Nick made a good point when we were going in pre-show meetings that the whole point of tampering rules is what, Nick?
The whole point of tampering rules is to make sure that, well, again, it's more prevalent in player-driven leagues, but it's more to soothe the feelings of the team getting traded, so they don't build
no.
Again, so you don't build a super team.
Right. Thank you. That's what you said last night. You're trying to avoid the whole super team issue.
That's what I said. But I mean, I don't think they'll enforce it. If there is some arcane law in the books for that.
I just think go ahead.
No, you finish your point because I was going to move on.
I was just going to say this whole thing was bizarre, and the trade, and I think the Mets took on like $30 or $35 million in salaries.
I mean, come to think of it, I mean, he wasn't really his performance last year was not that good. So
yeah, but everyone had it down here.
Say they're taking a flyer on him, but it's not the slam bang, trade you would think it is. He's got a hell of a lot of upside. I'll tell you that.
Right, but everyone had a down year. That's not
everybody had a down year. So
but
fair.
Right.
All right. But just thinking about with this Mets, with what it does for the Mets, I mean, Cookie is also a great ad, but he has had a last rough couple of years. I believe there was a time where he didn't play. I believe wasn't he sick?
Cancer. Yeah.
Yeah, cancer. So you have to see what he's going through. I'm just saying, like the rest of the pitching rotation, notoriously very injury prone. So you have to make sure that pitching staff, is beefed up, and ready to go and healthy. Maybe they add one more relief arm somewhere.
Maybe.
They have a really good starting rotation, like projected.
Absolutely. When healthy, that is one of the best in baseball.
Yeah, but the problem is they're turning into the Cubs with Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor all over again.
Right.
Like
now, that's a bit of
a deep cut.
Well, now where do the Mets go from here? We'll save the DJ LeMahieu thing for just a moment because obviously now that they have Lindor, Mets are probably out on that. Now, what I'm going to be interested in is, do they still do something with Trevor Bauer? But then again, we don't know because 1 minute Bauer wants a 1 year deal. Next minute, his agent's saying a multi-year deal. So we don't know what's going on with the Trevor Bauer situation.
Well,
Trevor Bauer knows what's going on with Trevor Bauer.
Okay, but I was gonna say the last name that I'm hearing about with the Mets and everything now is George Springer, which is. Yeah, but the Mets supposedly want him. The Blue Jays also supposedly want him.
Well, wait a minute.
I assume Houston is going to try to look to keep him.
This is Yankee syndrome all over again now with the Mets because they have a new owner with a lot of money. This is Yankee syndrome. Every name is going to be connected to the Mets now because of that whole thing.
Well, he definitely is now punching in the Yankees weight class. I mean, he's kind of horning in on their territory. Or was their territory before they started to nickel and dime everything, but I'll get to that in a second.
Well, they have a projected salary cap, well, not salary cap, payroll number of $210 million. So,
all right, I'll say it now. That is complete and utter, absolutely gilded bullshit. There is no such thing when you are $1 billion franchise. A salary cap, quote unquote, is absolute complete horseshit because you are $1 billion franchise. You are the Yankees. And if you really think that I lost my mind last week talking about the Rays not spending money, if they don't get DJ LeMahieu, I may have a coronary live on air, ladies and gentlemen. Wouldn't you like to see that? I wouldn't.
So
actually, that might be good video content, but otherwise.
Wow. Okay. So let me get to my theory about Lindor and the Yankees and LeMahieu. My theory, and I have discussed this with my father over the last few days, is it seems like Lindor, in my mind, was going to be their backup option. That if they let LeMahieu, say, go to LA, they would pull a deal like the Mets pulled to get Lindor and Carrasco. But now that backup option is obsolete. So now LeMahieu has the high ground in those negotiations. And
but you're leaving out one thing. What is he, 32 years old right now?
Yes.
He's on the backside of his career. I hate to say it, but he's on the backside of his career.
Hitting like he does the past couple of years, I would beg to differ with that.
No, but my point is that at 32, giving someone a 5-year contract, how many of those have we seen work out?
But we haven't really seen players in their 30s get 5-year contract. It's usually 10.
But I was going to say, well, there is that. But also at the end of the day, we have, LeMahieu has become the New York Yankees at this point. I think he has overtaken Aaron Judge and Gleyber Torres. They need there is one more backup option to consider. Is that And I feel like this is what the Yankees are probably going to do. They're probably going to let DJ walk to the NL West, and they are going to give a 1-year short-term minimum contract to Didi Gregorius. I'm saying I think that'll happen. Do I want that to happen? No, I don't. I want DJ.
And you
I
like
would not
Didi.
mind Didi coming back, though.
I
'cause
love
Didi.
Didi.
I know he can hit.
I love Didi, and I was pissed when they didn't re-sign him. Like, I understood, but I was still pissed because Didi was the heart and soul of that team. But now that was overtaken by DJ. You're going to tell me for 2 years in a row you're going to let the heart and soul of your team walk out the door?
Well, the thing that I brought up to you guys is that because the Major League Baseball hot stove is in such a slow moving, it's as slow as a turtle moving right now. I just don't see anybody signing. Like, we might see a Bryce Harper situation where he's signing like as spring training is ending.
Well, we don't know what spring training is going to be. So
Well,
that's a big problem with this, with not just DJ, with just all the free agents out there. I mean, consider this: JT Realmuto in his $200 million request, and he's still sitting there.
I don't know. And now you throw the Lindor mess into this whole thing. Lindor apparently asked for $300 million. Like, that's a big issue. Like, he's never going to get $300 million.
It is, but he is on the best team. You know, the team that could most likely give it to him because they have fresh money.
But look at the $300 million deals that have been issues in the past. They don't work.
I was going to say, that's why I think Didi is probably not going to stay in Philadelphia. Maybe others like JT are still not going to go to Philadelphia. Because if you're looking at that situation, why it's not succeeding, take a look at who they're paying. I love Bryce Harper, but for the contract that he got, he ain't playing up to what he should.
That contract was such a joke. You have no idea. And look at the whole Mets catching situation, signing James McCann over all the rumors they were talking about JT Realmuto being the big splash. Well, obviously they saw the calculation and said, wait a minute, we can get McCann for 3 years at this price, or we can get Realmuto at a 5 or 6 year at like 25 AAV, average annual value, and deal with that whole issue.
That's all I got.
All right. We're sorry about that. A little technical difficulty. Now we're going to move on to the football world. 12 seconds left. Actually, now they changed up to 14. 14 seconds left in that game, 2nd and 11. It looks like the Indianapolis is going to try for a kick for overtime in just a little bit. But while we pay attention to that, also let's talk about this little situation going down in Houston. Nick Caserio named the new general manager of the Houston Texans. And over the past week, it seems like there are more and more reports as the week has gone on that a certain star quarterback over there, probably the star on that team, Deshaun Watson, is a little ticked off and he may want out of there.
A little?
Just a little.
Deshaun in Texas just seemed like it fit because him with JJ Watt. For some strange reason, I always wanted the Texans to do well, mostly because they're the first expansion team I really remember liking because I kind of like the logo. But
let's remember something. They did have somebody. He did have somebody big to throw to when he first got to Houston. And
Butthole O'Brien decided to take that, Mr. Butthole Chin.
But wait a minute. This team was projected to be so well over was supposed to be really good over the last couple of years. Then they just shit the bed, and now we're like, hey, owner McNair over there, who said he was going to involve his star quarterback in the coaching and the GM search. Well, guess what? The report came out afterwards. We posted it.
Putting it on a post-it in the team fridge is not. It does not qualify as letting your quarterback know. Oh, by the way, we hired him.
Right, exactly. They hired the GM. They hired or they're in the mix of hiring a coach. But I just don't get it. Like, your star quarterback is who you need to win.
Watch, it won't be Bill O'Brien. It'll be Bill O'Brien in a mustache. Brian O'Bill.
Bobby Valentine?
Yeah, Brian O'Bill.
Well, so now you have a situation in which, you just had an absolutely abysmal season, like 5-11 or 4-12, and yet Deshaun Watson led the league in passing yards. So for all he did, and that was only, he had you got to give credit to the wide receivers over in Houston, like Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, who stepped up. It's no DeAndre Hopkins.
That's what I was going to say. Yep.
But my point is Deshaun Watson, for all that he lost, and that was a very big piece that he lost. Houston, he did well, but the team didn't. And the kick is no good. Buffalo will take a 27-24 win and will advance to the divisional round.
That's sick.
We were technically correct when we made that call. Technically correct.
Hey, we're 1-0. 1-0. 1-0.
The Jimmy G hype train is over.
By the way, I heard, not to go off on a sidetrack, but I heard a rumor and speculation that Garoppolo might go back to New England.
Oh, God. I mean, is Belichick going to walk?
Belichick would have to make him crawl in on his into his office on his hands and knees.
Yeah, but it wasn't his fault.
Back.
Wait a minute. It wasn't his fault that he left. They traded him because they obviously didn't want to go down that route. So it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, but still, you know how Belichick is. Supplication.
Whatever. Long story short, this whole situation with the Texans is a joke. And the Texans are going to be in rebuild mode for quite a while, even with the as great a quarterback as Deshaun Watson.
I'll say it. I'll give a prediction right here. I think by the time the next season's over, Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt will be on different teams.
I don't know about Watt.
That's a big.
I think Watt because there was a rumor during the season at some point. Think about it. He has two brothers on a very successful Pittsburgh team. I kind of think Pittsburgh wouldn't mind completing the trifecta.
I just feel like J.J. Watt is too connected to Texas. Yeah. I can see Watson going for sure. Watson has had it. Like, he wants to win in a big way.
Yeah, but I bet at the direction the Texans are going, at this point, they may as well just blow it all up, in my opinion. Just get rid of both of them and start over.
Hey, the Jets could use a quarterback.
That is a rumor going around. Is this the time where the Jets might, trade the number 2 and try to get Deshaun?
Not that I wouldn't give every single tooth that I have in my mouth for Deshaun Watson to be slinging passes in a Giants jersey, but
the Giants, they're keeping faith on Danny. So, okay,
and faith being what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so let's talk about a situation that I've been loathing to talk about.
Okay, I'm going to open this topic because I'm going to allow you to. So put the topic up on the screen.
I had my little.
Okay, actually, I want to do something, Nick, if you don't mind. I want to go back. No. I want to go to our Instagram, and I'd say I want to play the audio of the episode that we had last week. Let me play this. Remember this, guys?
Yes, I'm upset. Even though, and everyone is complaining, well, why do teams always, when they're tanking, why do they want their team to lose? Like, why don't you want them to win?
The players are not going to play to lose.
Well, Tom, make the statement that you were making to the two of us about how players play.
Players, let's talk about an old Jets coach in Herm Edwards. They play to win the game.
Oh, gosh. But yes, they play to win the game. I mean, I'm kind of upset.
I'm just saying, if the coaches told the players, all right, you guys are going to go out there and lose. If I'm a player, I wouldn't even bother showing up for the game. And then that's when you would see Goodell and everyone get all PO'd.
Well, about that.
Wait a minute. I'm pot calling the kettle black now. Okay. All right, because you over there complaining about Giants this and Eagles tank this.
Well, I was saying we had never seen a situation where a team tried to deliberately lose. Well, that ironically, a day later after that episode, we saw something on Sunday Night Football.
It takes Doug Peterson and his shenanigans to turn us all into corn cobs.
This guy is such a fake, you know what? In my opinion.
Look. We've all had a bunch of Giants fans sling around accusations all week, and I can't tell you that I didn't feel like tossing them out a window after that shameful performance on Sunday Night Football. because he did not play to win the game. However, I'm of the opinion that if the prospective 6-10 Giants had made the playoffs and won the division, it would have papered over a lot of flaws with this team. Now, again, it's not that the Maras are very good at fixing the flaws that they do see. If anything, the last 3 years have been absolutely proof positive of that. However, I do think it would have caused a lot of people to look the other way in a Giants team that needs to get fixed in a lot of major ways.
Okay, so here's the thing. I both agree and disagree with you. Well, first of all, we're talking about the Maras and trying to fix things. I mean, they've already come out and said Gettleman is going to remain the general
How
manager.
is Gettleman still the GM of this franchise?
He's got pictures of somebody doing something illegal.
Well, let's give credit where credit is due. Some of the picks that he has made over the last few season
have panned out.
I was going to say, the team has shown improvement, but I mean, it's only been a little improvement. So, but I think that problem with that is, that's what happens when you're playing in a division where 7 games wins you the goddamn division.
Come on, I'm waiting to hear the anger. Where's the anger as a Giants fan here?
That anger part of me has been burned out a long time
Let
ago.
me tell you this. I am angry, but you know what? The Giants kind of did it to themselves.
They did.
In one perspective, and I will name one Giant who cost them the season single-handedly, Evan Engram. If he does not drop that pass in week 6 and gets that touchdown and the Giants win, they're in the postseason at 7-9. Now, I was going to say, wait, hang on. Now, there were, again, multiple opportunities, games to win, and they didn't win. But now here's going to be my big point. Sunday Night Football, Week 17, is not about the Giants. It is about a slap in the face to the integrity of football, especially when you consider the fact, and we have also posted this, Nick, that there were multiple reports that some players there wanted to go after Doug Peterson and basically choke him on that sideline.
And you know what? I don't blame them. And first of all, most people don't know this as an NFL fan. They're only going to know this in the MLB circles. Who's the owner of the Eagles?
Jeffrey Lurie.
Jeffrey Lurie is the sleaziest owner in all of professional sports. Okay?
Lurie.
Right. I said Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie is the sleaziest owner in all professional sports. I didn't stutter. I mean that as a fact. The guy owns the freaking Marlins, and he freaking plummets them into the ground for crying out loud.
Different. Jeff Lurie, Lurie.
I thought, didn't he own the team at one point? Or maybe I'm ranting.
No. See, rage has blinded you.
Whatever.
The point of the matter is, it was a disgrace to the sport of football.
You
play to freaking win the game. And if you think I have a gripe, I'm sad that other poll that we did on our social media didn't do well, because I want to know how the Lions fans feel. I want to know how the Panthers feel. I want to know how the Broncos feel.
You just got leapfrogged in draft position.
Exactly. And it sounds like, one pick isn't a big deal, but when you consider the fact, that 2017, the Bears moved up one spot to select Mitch Trubisky, the fact that last draft, Tampa Bay moved up one slot just to grab somebody. One slot can make a big difference. Oh, let's talk about in this draft how all of a sudden, those 2 wins by the Jets, and now all of a sudden the Jaguars are going to be the ones getting Trevor Lawrence. We think, if Urban Meyer becomes the coach there, maybe he wants Justin Fields.
Please don't bring that news up. That's really bad news if that happens to the Jets.
But if you want my opinion, it's time for the lottery. I can't believe I'm saying this.
You.
Nick, you are right. It is
yes!
lottery. Because if this is the direction, now that we are in the analytics age of sports and people are going to talk about, what's best for their team, and the NFL is a system that rewards losing technically, because the more you lose, the higher your draft pick is. And if that's going to be, if that's all the case, what just happened on Sunday night? You don't think anything worse is going to come in the next couple of years?
Well, you're going to get teams who are just tanking has been happening in the NFL publicly for years because teams that are so bad.
You don't see it to the point where they substitute Jalen Hurts.
That was bad.
Their star rookie quarterback in the fourth quarter, and it's still a game where they can still win, for Nate Sutterfield, who hasn't played a snap since 2017.
By the way, he was made Twitter famous in one day for being replaced.
There's an old.
And-
There's
and-
an
and-
old tweet. It says that every day Twitter has a main character, and the goal is to not be that guy.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
But
I'm
I mean,
paraphrasing, of course, but still.
but I mean, and you have Eagles fans complaining about Jalen Hurts, how he looked good the first couple of games and started to slide a little. And like, you mean like a rookie? Shocking.
Oh no!
Oh my
Oh no!
God.
Parents forbid.
But
The horror.
But honestly, I don't know if it was, Doug trying to save his job or anything, or the general manager, Howie trying to save his job. But the point being that, something was going on in there. Something had to be happening. And yes, I do think Doug and Howie could have either been saving their jobs or trying to stick it. And because, come on, if we're going to bring up last draft, come on. Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson? Really?
That was bad.
Come on.
But we all know Carson Wentz, and we'll finish this topic up on this, which is Carson Wentz is going to get traded. It's not if, it's when he gets traded.
Well, but that's a big contract that he has with them. You probably have to give up a first round or second round pick, too.
First of all, why are you asking for a trade when you just signed a contract? Just release him. Just release him. I'm saying it right now. The Eagles should release Carson Wentz.
Congratulations. He's the new backup quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, I'm serious. If he's going to be the big man after all the issues that went down, because first of all, I think he's a terrible quarterback.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
I'm throwing that out there. I don't care. Eagles fans hit me with tomatoes. I don't care. Basically, the guy is hurt constantly. Who won the quarterback? Who won the Super Bowl in Philadelphia? Nick Foles, not you.
But I'll just end on this. If you want the Giants fan perspective of me, if you want to keep Gettleman around, fine. If you want me to keep that faith in Danny, fine. But then you know what you need in the draft? You need offensive weapons. Like how we were just going over how, for the Yankees, a middle infielder, Gleyber Torres and Tyler Wade isn't going to work, and you need LeMahieu. A wide receiving core of Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, and Evan Ingram as your tight end is not going to work, especially when two of those guys were in the top 20 of dropped passes. Evan Ingram leading that category. You have the draft coming up. Grab a couple of pass catchers. Grab another offensive lineman. Grab a backup running back for Saquon in case he goes down again after you run him into the ground.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's not all going to happen.
But that's my request. Improve the offense. That's what you're going to need. Give Danny weapons.
That's like saying to me as a Jet fan, I want a wide receiver, a running back, defense. I'm not going to get it all, but I could wish for it.
Like a genie.
All right. Now, if you want to get mad, Nick, here's your chance.
Well, all right.
Breaking news.
So this was not even to pull the curtain behind the episode. This was not planned. This was absolutely not planned. And then I wake up and I see all this news going around. First of all, as I'm watching the Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers game in Brooklyn last night, all of a sudden the news comes out. Seth Curry, the brother of Steph Curry, sitting on the bench. We find out, he tested positive for COVID while sitting on the bench in the first quarter of the game.
The Justin Turner situation has basically worked its way over to the NBA.
And you know what? I'm so sick and tired of this shit that's going down with COVID in not just the NBA, in any sport.
Well, let's talk about how, as hours went on, right before we're pretty much coming on the air, the Philadelphia 76ers have basically lost a lot of their players, either due to injury. Was it Ben Simmons who's injured?
Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Yep.
Joel Embiid are both injured, and they have players who are in COVID protocol. And that has left them with, that has gotten them to the point where they literally Doc Rivers just literally went to the media. They were warming somebody up, and he basically admitted that this individual, Mike Scott, pretty much that He is not going to play. He is just there
Head count.
For head counts, for minimum manning, to be dressed in uniform. It seems like they are going to play 5 or 6 players in reality, like it's CYO basketball.
You didn't realize that this was kindergarten and we're lining up players to play pickup games, and you know what? I'm so tired.
It's actually NBA Jam, but not fun.
But I just don't. So I'm looking at the reports just to give a timeline so everyone understands. A member of the team tests positive. That was Seth Curry. They're stuck in New York. They go through 13 hours of COVID protocol. Why was the game not canceled when this thing happened?
Nick, not just not canceled. The NBA is now threatening them. If you don't, get the minimum manning and everything, you will forfeit this game. We are actually talking about forfeits in the NBA, something that the NFL, wanted as like a last resort, even to the cries of fans, like it's time to move on and get to a forfeit. The NBA is already ready to deal out forfeits.
Which is what I don't understand with this whole situation. So we find out this happens. He gets whisked off into the isolation chamber, which, that's so great. Let's put him in an isolation chamber during a game and hope.
Chamber? I thought it was a metaphor.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't give a shit at this point because the NBA is in a total shambles when it comes to their COVID protocol. But then we find out that they're putting players that don't have COVID into protocol for 10 or 14 days.
That's standard contact tracing.
No, but is it because they're around somebody? They're not alerting to why they're being put into these protocol systems.
I mean, they don't necessarily have to notify, everybody if they're. Well, they have to notify if they're. Technically, they don't because that's a HIPAA violation. Technically, but
no. But why are they going into protocol? Is it because they were around somebody or not?
Yes.
How about we ask better questions? Like, like somebody was just. I think actually Keith Smith, our old friend, was tweeting this out. Okay, wasn't there an idea during the little off season that we have with the NBA? Maybe we need something like the MLB and NFL were doing, like an expanded practice squad or expanding the roster spots to 20 or something like that.
The big thing that I saw today is a lot of the analysts are saying we should go to a 30-man roster.
And not just that, but the NBA said, we really want home arenas. We don't want to do the bubble. All the players were complaining. We don't want to do the bubble. Credit to the NHL in that they're not going to do the bubble, but they're keeping it on there, as a
the down low
break glass in case of emergency situation.
But they
just canceled the start of the Dallas Stars season because they have a couple.
Correct. And you're right. And you're right, Nick, in that they're doing hubs. They aren't only doing division play and everything. But now it's coming out conveniently. Now it's coming out that the NBA has a break glass in case of emergency bubbles situation. It's like, oh, how convenient that now it's coming out.
But here's what I don't understand. I'm about to lose my mind over something, which is the NBA G League is being played in the Walt Disney World bubble where the NBA was. Why is the G League being played in a bubble? But the NBA says, oh, well, we're going to follow the NFL model, and we're not going to take
because nobody gives a shit about the G League.
Fans anyway. Who cares?
Because nobody gives a shit about the G League.
But that's what I don't get. You know what? I'm sick and tired of the NBA looking at their bottom line and say, "Oh, we're losing millions of dollars." How about protecting the players?
Oh no, you're right. You're right. This is another example, like we have seen over the past couple of seasons, like with the China situation and everything, where the NBA has a point where it will bow to the crown, it will bow to the green, it will bow to money. And eventually,
it's not about player health, Nick. It never has been.
No, I know that, but I'm getting.
But Nick, I think that's Nick's point.
You're absolutely right to be concerned about that. Just saying, yeah.
But Nick, that was Nick's point in that in a very progressive league where the players pretty much run it, it should be about the player's health, the player wants, and all that. And it seems like Adam Silver is not going in that direction. And in my opinion, Adam Silver is on his way. You know how we were saying that Gary Bettman is on the way upwards as a commissioner? It seems like Adam Silver is on his way downwards.
Which is ironic because I used to tell you guys that I thought Adam Silver was one of the best when it came to.
We did too.
No, but I'm just saying from the standpoint of understanding the players' needs, he was really good in the bubble when it came to understanding the civil unrest and letting the players do what they needed to do. Now he's like falling off a cliff. And-
ladies and gentlemen, it's a horror show. It really is.
And then we find out right before we go on here that Jason Tatum, the young star of the Celtics, tested positive. So I don't understand what's going on here. How is the virus getting in?
Well, you could have people breaking protocol. Again, there's community spread. It could have come from anywhere. I mean, there's no really way to know unless you're following, hundreds of thousands of players where they go everywhere. They could have picked it up anywhere and not said anything.
I don't know. It's just
Or there could have been contacts to somebody in their family who was sick, or somebody they were around who wasn't wearing a mask. Or wasn't.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, I apologize. We had a little technical difficulty. I disconnected for some reason.
But the protocols are driving me crazy to the point where I'm just like, enough, NBA, figure it out. Either postpone the games or don't postpone the games and get your shit under control because you're not doing a good job of it right now.
Oh, they absolutely should.
Go in the bubble.
Well, yeah, I think they should be in the bubble, but they're not going to do it.
All right, guys, let's move on now to the last topic because the game actually is just getting underway. Los Angeles Rams in Seattle. We're trying to end NFL playoffs. The last NFL wildcard game scheduled for tomorrow night, the big one, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland's first playoff game since 2002. And it seems like this team, is still dealing with COVID pretty much after that affected them the past couple of weeks.
Right. Totally. And this whole Cleveland Browns situation, we had an outbreak. We had 7 or 8 different positives. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, tested positive for the virus. And now
it's like the Black Knight scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's a flesh wound.
Well, that's been the behavior that we've seen of the NFL when it comes to this stuff for a while now.
I don't get it. And I have breaking news for Washington football fans if they want that too.
Okay.
Oh God, what now?
So
I'm gonna take a guess. Is Heineke starting in favor over Smith?
Alex Smith is officially inactive tonight.
Taylor Heineke is gonna be the starting quarterback.
First round exit.
I'll say it now because I never got the chance to do it during the week. Gentlemen, after what we saw with the NFC East this whole season, that controversy of Sunday night, I'm sick to my stomach to say this, but I will be a Tom Brady fan for one day.
Let's just put it this way. Well, you're saying it now. We have a little video planned later that we're going to put out as well. Just watch for it tonight. You're going to enjoy it. Trust me. So.
All right. So before we wrap things up, let me quickly, by the way, let's see how I can do this. I want to bring up our predictions, for the playoffs.
Oh yeah, we should do that.
All right, so let's share everybody our predictions. We were all on the same page for the most part, but Nick, Fodera, and I each played, solo for one of the games. So the game that I'm solo lone wolf for is Baltimore and Tennessee. I think that's a close game, but I do think Baltimore is going to win just an arrow bit. My upset, and actually one of you two have agreed with me, is that Cleveland will still somehow be able to defeat Pittsburgh. Buffalo, of course, we are 1-0 in that department. I think Tampa will lay the smackdown on Washington. Not even going to be a close one. I have Seattle winning the game that's going on currently, and I have the Saints. All right, so moving on now to Nick Morgasen, you guys are going with the Titans. You also think that Cleveland is going to upset Pittsburgh in spite of their troubles.
Yeah, I just think Pittsburgh has no momentum. Like, they were 11-0, then they kind of fell off a cliff. And
I think Pittsburgh is going to play down to their competition like they usually do.
Oh God! Oh, I can't wait until we come on after that game is over, and Tom's just going to come on and be like, "They played down to the competition again." Like,
again, I reserve the right to be wrong, so I'm reserving that right.
Okay, so and then Nick Morgasen, Buffalo. He basically agreed with the rest: Buffalo, Tampa, Seattle, New Orleans. And then Nick Fodera went with Tennessee. He goes against us when picking Pittsburgh, and then he agrees with the rest of Buffalo, Tampa, Seattle.
I was waiting to see if someone out of the three of us was going to take Washington against the Bucks. I was waiting to see.
I mean, it's not.
I may be stupid, but I'm not an idiot.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, considering the fact that it seems like whenever Tom Brady plays the NFC East in the playoffs,
by the way,
somehow magically fumbles.
By the way, Goff is not starting either.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. I thought Goff was active though.
It says that he's not starting.
Bandage on his hand for warm-ups.
Oh, all right.
A very bizarre, super wild card weekend.
Super.
It's football, folks.
Whoever came up with that moniker deserves to be hit. I'm just saying. Just like in that regard, I'm just like, all right, like what's going on here?
It's some poor intern that Goodell keeps locked in a broom closet somewhere.
Okay.
Please, sir, I need some sunlight. You'll get nothing and like it.
Can I get some water? Water, food, water, atmosphere. Yes.
All right, I think that's the way we end this episode. I think that's the note. So go follow us across all our socials at ETV Sports, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and make sure to you may interact with all our posts. And
you see our new video clips that we're posting as well from prior episodes.
Yeah, so. That's what I was going to go with. And also, if you missed the episode, obviously you can watch it here on Facebook again, in pretty much from the vault. But you can also tune in on IGTV.
And you can find it on Twitter because we post the link from Facebook also. So you'll find it.
Too. All right. So that's going to do it for us. For Nick Morgasen and Nick Fodera, I'm Tom Albano. And we'll see you next week for Empty the Bench. Until then, take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody!
Good night.